All right, fellas, we'll start in 2 seconds. Sorry. I'm trying to multi-stream to like Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and it's not as smooth as it should be. But here we go. Here we go.
Test. Test. Okay, this is a test of bass. This is a test for bass boost, and this is a test now for warm and mid. Okay, this is a test of bass. This is a test for bass boost, and this is a test now for warm and vintage. Okay, this is a test of bass. This is a test for bass boost, and this is a test now for warm and Okay, this is a test of bass. This is a test for bass boost, and this is a test now for warm and vintage. Any of those sound better.
And even though they said she'd wrong, she felt this for so long. And the sex just keeps on getting better.
Test.
And so she said,
Okay, this is a test of bass. This is a test for bass boost, and this is a test now for warm and vintage.
So true, man. So true, man. I wanna feel true love and so much more. I'm tired and excited, sick of being your whore. Oh baby, don't you see? It's time to start fucking all the guns of war.
Okay, this is a test of bass. test for bass boost, and this is a test now for warm and test. Okay, this is a test of bass boost. Okay.
Well, hello, you old knuckleheads. It is I, Jaffe. Good to see you. That was a brand new song from Taylor Swift. That was AI, and fuck you, you people who hate AI. I'm telling you something, man. That was just the craziest. It is so amazing how fast that goes. Now, you can do what you want, right? You might like different kinds of music, but I like the top 40 pop shit, and all I have to do is type in some lyrics, and they make you a song. So we needed something to open the show with. So that's the Gods of War, at least the July 2024 edition. I hope you dug it. People, what did I do? I put that up on the Discord, and people were like, making fun of it. It's like, this is like 12-year-old girl music. Fuck you. That's the music that makes the world go round. That's the music people buy, you son of a bitch. I jam out to that any day, says Froman. Abe Froman, the Sausage King of Chicago. Fellas, welcome to Gabbing Games for Monday, July, I don't know, what is it, 11th, 10th, 12th, 15th? 15th, July 15th, my friends. It's good to have you here. It's good to be able to shift topics after a weekend of nothing but politics and infighting and just talk about the thing we love very much. Me. Ha! And talk about video games, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here. There's some good news. There's some good stuff to talk about. Obviously, we'll get into Concord today. K-Nubs in the chat says, Jaffe, I hope you're feeling well mentally. I'm doing all right. Not too shabby, sir. Listen. Right now, today's a little bit of a test run because we're streaming to Twitch and YouTube and Twitter and Instagram. And if you're trying to chat with us from any of those locations that's not YouTube, please let me know. Even just toss me a test chat and say, hey, is this working? Because I think it is. We tested it this morning. But I'm very interested in getting the show out to more human beings, and that is why we're running a little bit late today. So let me know. Eddie T says no MySpace. We're trying, but MySpace, as you know, is really hard to break into MySpace, man. All right, well, listen, let's get right to it, my little delightful delinquents. Let's talk about the news of the week and how things are going. I will tell you this briefly. I don't know if you saw this. I've been playing a lot of fucking video games. Jojo D in the chat says, well, Jaffe, you haven't streamed in a while. I streamed this morning. I think I may have streamed a little bit over the weekend, but I had some, family stuff going on Thursday, Friday, and then the weekend kicked in, and there was the assassination attempt and blah, 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 right? Hey, Dizzy Death, it works. Great. Thank you, buddy, for helping us test that out. And so it was just kind of hard to kind of get into the headspace of, hey, let's talk about video games this weekend. But we're here now. We're here for you now, Josephine D. I made you into a lady's name. I want to talk about SlitterHead because I was, I love horror. I love it, man. I love movies and books and video games that are horror-based. And SlitterHead was always kind of like what is that fucking thing? If you don't know, this is the game from the guy and some of his teammates who were primarily responsible for the first Silent Hills, for Siren at Sony, as well as, what's that game with the lady who flies around the air? Gravity Rush. He likes to go by the name Toyama. Idiot. But anyway, so, when he starts up a studio and his whole mentality is we want to make games that don't cost a lot of money. We're not trying to break the bank. We want to have a lot of freedom to allow us to try shit, And so that's what his studio, I think you pronounce it Boca. Your aunt lives in Boca. She's dying of cancer, but she's very wealthy. I suggest you go down there and make yourself indispensable to her in her final years. We could use the money. his company's called Boca or Bokeh. I don't fucking know what you call his company. But anyway, the point being is that I'm interested, right? And they showed the first playable trailer at Keeley's show over the summer. And I was like, well, you know, it's cool, but, you know, I'm kind of, you know, it seemed like its biggest claim to fame is like, we're going to do the switching bodies thing. And I've been around, you know, as whatever that guy's name in that movie was, said. The first time I ever saw jumping characters, not switching bodies, but just jumping characters, was the Lost Vikings from Interplay, right? And then David Perry made a game, I want to say it was called Messiah, around the kind of Wild Nines after Earthworm Jim. And that was the first time you could ever possess a character in a game, I think. Certainly the first time I saw it. And so over the years, people have messed around with that mechanic, and I'm like, whatever. And it sounds like they built a whole game around that, a horror game. And I'm like, I don't care about that. That sounds kind of dumb. Like we've seen it before. But when you read this hands-on, I assume a lot of the press got hands-on with it. VGC got hands-on with it. And they came away, they seemed to be pretty impressed. They said, look, these are not big budget games. It's not like an indie game, but it's like a AA kind of thing. And they were going to go open world with it. And Tayana, Shimon said, hey man, we wanted to do that, but we got to keep our budgets down. We do not want to be one of these video game companies that is a slave to all of these fucking cooks in the kitchen because we're spending $300 million. We want to be creative visionaries. And so we're going to kill the open world design. We're going to make it a little bit less hi-fi in terms of fidelity visually. And we're going to follow our passions and make a really cool horror game. And when they describe the functionality of how the switching bodies work. This is coming from Video Games Chronicle, but I want to read you just some of the, I'm just going to read you like 3 or 4 paragraphs. I don't just like to read to you guys, but this is better than I could express it. The game casts the players as the Hyoki, an entity devoid of memory and physical form. His only motive is to destroy the monsters hiding around the city disguised as humans. They're also known as SlitterHeads. That's what we like to call them in the business. These bug-like critters, the SlitterHeads, will bust from human heads with multiple razor-sharp limbs without warning, since the city is filled with NPCs. This creates a high sense of tension when navigating the dark back streets. Kind of like, I guess, like The Thing. You never really know who is the Thing. At its most basic level, it's an action game, parrying, dodging, whatnot. But listen to this. The most interesting feature is the body switching. Players start the demo controlling a stray dog wandering the streets. Eventually, your progress moves through the back alleys and will become blocked by a tall fence. However, moving the right stick to spot a human NPC on the other side of the fence reveals the ability to possess that human with the press of a button, immediately flipping the player's perspective to the new host. So you get over the fence. Big deal. We've seen that before. Very quickly, the studio starts to play with this mechanic in more interesting ways. A SlitterHead bursts from a nearby citizen, and due to being unarmed, the only way we can escape is by daisy chaining between NPCs along the route ahead, often passing through walls or up to rooftops. Later in the demo, the possession mechanic is used for all kinds of twisted platforming segments, with us body hopping between high-rise balconies and sacrificing NPCs for fast travel by jumping off a building before quickly switching to another human on the street level, just as our previous host splatters on the pavement. That sounds awesome. Suddenly, the fairly standard melee combat mechanics from earlier in the demo also become much more unique, with players able to take on much stronger SlitterHeads by using a group of NPCs and jumping between them to land blows on its back as it struggles to focus on a single opponent. This sounding pretty cool, eh? When they get into describing it. Some NPCs are more equipped than others, wielding slightly stronger melee weapons, but during our demo, there never felt like much needed. God damn it, Jaffe. But during our demo, there never felt like much was needed to hold on to the weapons, as there would always be another just as good NPC around the corner. I guess that's some kind of statement on sort of the conformity of humanity. It's like you think you're special, but you're not. According to Toyoma, this is deliberate design to portray humans as fodder in the SlitterHead's world. The person in charge, the possession mechanic, was originally working on another action game, and they decided they wanted to kind of do this shit. So it sounds pretty cool. They do say what we played felt quite linear, but that doesn't appear to be much here in terms of side content or exploration. But it's also a refreshingly tight and unbloated experience. That's hard to know if that's one of those platitudes they give out in a preview, but in essence, that's a real negative aspect of this game, or if it because you could sort of see them writing this like that scenario they pitched about jumping off the balconies and then splattering one NPC on the pavement right as you transfer bodies to a healthy NPC walking the streets. You could see that being like, this is the moment where that happens for everybody, and it stops feeling like a game and starts feeling like a, just basically have a semi-interactive experience of what the developer wanted you to see. I hope that's not what it feels like, but I hope it feels just more like they say, it's not bloated. But this is the first thing I've read about this game where people have gone hands-on with it, and I think it sounds pretty fucking good, man. I think it sounds pretty fucking good. Second Sight says Dizzy Death on PS2 had some of that. I kind of remember that for sure. I didn't spend a lot of time. I was bouncing between that game and what was the other one that came out? There was Second Sight, and there was the one from Midway, which was PsyOps. That was the one I spent more time on. I remember Messiah says, Mutant Mo, all the text is blue, it's hard to see. The band Fear Factory did a song for it, and that's in the game. Yeah, that was like you played an angel or some such nonsense or whatever. But we'll see. So this is coming out, I think, this year or probably next year. I think we would have heard more about it if this was coming out in the next 6 months. I think this is going to be sometime in 2025, but I like this. I hope it does well for them. I like that we got all these developers out there doing horror. They're not spending a lot of ducats to do it. Gives them a chance to kind of take multiple bites at the apple because you never know what's really going to hit. So I'm excited. I'm curious. Let's see where it takes us. Now, listen, I want to talk about this story. I have a question for you guys. I'm not entirely sure. Look, you guys know I'm a fan of Jeff Keighley. I like the way he produces his shows. I always have comments. I always have criticisms. He's salt of the earth fella. He's a good dude, and he does a good job making his shows. But there was I guess it wasn't really reporting. If you you can find out now how much he charges if you want to have a trailer in his shows, right? So Summer Game Fest, that was a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, whatever. This was coming from Push Square, but now they're coming out now with Gamescom as well, because you can still buy an ad or buy a trailer. I want to tell you how much it is, and then I want to see if you think it's actually worth it. So Keighley is charging Summer Games Fest. That's not his biggest show. His biggest show is the Game Awards in December, okay? But this is Summer Games Fest is going to cost you $250,000 for a 1-minute trailer, $350,000 for 1.5, a little bit over $500,000 for 2.5 minutes. If you add up all the trailers that were in the last year's Game Fest, it was about a $10 million check he got to do this. Okay, so that's his middle of the road show. If you go to opening night live or whatever it is when they open Gamescom, which is coming up next month, all of the stuff for the main show is sold out, but you can still get your trailer put on the pre-show if you're into such nonsense and you want to show a trailer. This is what it'll cost you. The pre-show now, okay? The pre-show is going to cost you, where'd it go? I had to convert it from pounds because I'm a goddamn American. 30 seconds will be $63,000. 120 seconds, 2 minutes will be $150,000. That's for the pre-show, right? And so now the real question becomes, is this worth it, right? If you go back and you look at last year's Summer Games Fest, the games that they put out are either big ones like Mortal Kombat 1, Street Fighter 6, Sonic Superstars, Star Rail, Liza P. Those things are going to get marketed up and down. But here's what I'm trying to figure out. It's not a knock against Keighley's show at all. And these are not terrible prices if you're a big publisher. And they do give some free kind of pro bono spots for people every year if they have a really cool game that is super indie, but Keighley wants to sponsor it or kind of highlight it. That's pretty cool. But I don't think any of this matters really. And maybe I'm wrong about that. I mean, if you're talking about a big game, okay, sure, get on the hype train, blah, blah, blah. But you're not going to need this anyway. But if you, like Hogwarts Legacy didn't need to be there, number one game of last year. Neither did Baldur's Gate 3. If you start looking at stuff like Dave the Diver, Party Animals, Lethal Company, the stuff that kind of just sort of takes on a life of its own. Most people that I was talking to about Dave the Diver didn't know what the fuck it was for the first month and a half. It had to be basically word of mouth that brought it along and had people start to go, oh, that actually sounds pretty fucking good. Similarly with, what's the other one that's out that was really big this year? The Lethal Company. Nobody knew what the fuck that was. Nobody knew where that was coming from. It just kind of showed up. And I guess my question to you in the chat is word of mouth. And by the way, I don't know if I have this streaming thing working all that well, because usually when I'm streaming on StreamYard, we get so many comments I can't keep up with them. Now it's almost like I have members chat on or something. Okay, wait a minute. That's weird. It's not all showing up. Okay, it's showing in the multi-stream. I got it. Let me go over to the YouTube stream. You got to help me out here, fellas. It's bear with me. Okay, so G says it seems fair for the attention. He's working with billion-dollar companies. Feast doesn't like his shows. I don't quite know why. How many people watch, says Movie Maniac? I don't know. I mean, if you look, every year it's going up, right? So how many people watched the Game Awards? And I think every year it goes up meaningfully. 118 million people watched it in 2023. That's more than watched the Oscars, I'm almost certain. Let's see. How many people watched the Oscars in 2023? 18 million, right? So it's definitely worth it in terms of you'll get in front of people and people will talk about it. But the question is that even how games are sold anymore, right? I mean, you go if you're on the internet and you're watching Keeley's shit, you're probably going to Kotaku and IGN and all the, NeoGAF anyway. So I'm just wondering, did it actually make it so that, do you ever get educated by these and buy things because of it? Like, would it be valuable if you were running a fucking video game company and you were like, hey man, I have this game that's really cool. Should we spend $500,000 for a 2-minute trailer at Keeley's Game Awards? Still says word of mouth is great, but at the same time, it takes timing and luck for word of mouth. Buying an ad gives millions of eyes. It's not right. It's not that I think they don't get seen. It's that, does it actually motivate you to buy? I know that obviously it'll put it on your radar a little bit, but these days with demos or YouTube people streaming it or reviews dropping, I mean, does it even matter at this point to advertise a game? Wait till it comes out and people will either love it or fucking hate it. People often mock the small indie games that get shown there. They want to see the big name games, says Eddie. Yeah, I mean, if you're watching that show, you're probably not the guy who's going to run out and get excited like me for Dave the Diver. What the fuck is that? Swapfire says for $70,000 at one point you could essentially direct a GameSpot show and have their folks interact with your game how you saw fit. I don't know if that holds true today, but that was about 8 years ago. Yeah, you might be able to get more bang out of your ducats. That's true. What's better, says Swapfire, a small trailer next to dozens of others for more viewers or higher engagement with fewer viewers? I would say higher engagement. I honestly would. I think at this point, I don't remember 90% of the trailers I see when they're showed back to back to back to back. But if there is kind of like, even though I may not watch a deep dive about SlitterHead, now I would, but or some game I don't know much about, if it actually is worth talking about, people will start talking about it. Somebody asked me, I think I have it somewhere embedded in the show today, I don't know where, but somebody was asking me about a game recently and said, oh, have you heard of this thing? And, I know what it was. It was Once Human, right? And I did play Once Human with the Steam Next Fest, and I didn't really like it that much, but I'll talk about it in a little bit. But that's a game that, because word of mouth has been so good, I'm going back to. But actually, PK brings up a great point. Killer Bean made good use of Summer Game Fest. Isn't that weird? I would argue that particular game, and you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It did. I would argue that particular game really benefited from being close to the top of the show. If I remember correctly, it was like the first, second, third, fourth trailer. By the time you get to trailer 8, you're just kind of like, losing your fucking mind. They all blend together for the most part. I don't agree. Weasel says the irony of questioning the legitimacy of ad conversions with ads turned on for your live stream. Look, I'm not the guy paying for the ads. I get money for the ads running. That's not ironic. I'll take your money. I'll take your ad money left, right, and sideways. But that doesn't mean I support the intellectual exercise of, that's the wrong way to phrase it. That doesn't mean I support ads as the most effective way to get people to convert at least traditional ads from possible customers to actual customers. Jaffe, you probably have gotten a number of games sold by seeing Game Fest and talking on your show about what interested you. It's, it may be. I'm not opposed to it. I'm curious about it because when the numbers came out about what Keeley charges, I was just like, hey, what is this? Are the guys that spent $600,000 on Sandland? Well, that's Namco Bandai. They have money to burn. But, are the guys that spent $600,000 on Immortals of Avium, EA, or this game called Under the Waves, or John Carpenter's Toxic Commando? If John Carpenter's Toxic Commando was just a trailer that came out on a random Tuesday, I imagine most people that remember it because they like John Carpenter, aka me, would get just as many people watching it then, but maybe not. I don't have an answer. I'm asking. I'm genuinely asking. K-Nubs, I had, what do you mean? I had a Joe Biden moment. What happened? Oh no. What did I do? Oh, I have to know, because that's the sad part about that shit. And the scary part is that you don't know when you have a Joe Biden moment, right? Maybe that's why Joe Biden hadn't dropped out. He's like, what are you guys talking about? It was awesome. Did you see me? He didn't remember any of it. So, all right. Who played Concord this weekend, huh? Yeah, I did. Hang on. Let's talk about it. 1 second. Let me get a little bit of the bubbly. I tripped over a word. Well, that's not a Joe Biden moment. That's just him stuttering. I thought you meant like I literally lost, consciousness. Ravno says, Game Pass going to 4 tiers. Tier 1, fuck you console peasant. Tier 2, give me your fucking... Well, see, I don't agree with even that on Tier 1. Right now, my son subscribes, or I pay for it, but he get him Ultimate. Because he doesn't even need Ultimate. There was a reason I got it for him. I don't remember why I thought he would value it, but all he plays on his Xbox is Fortnite, Grand Theft Auto Online, and every now and then him and his buddies will play some other thing that is a Game Pass game. Very rare. So I'm actually going to drop him down for that peasant version of Game Pass. And I think it's great because I think there's a lot of people that are going to be very, very happy with that. Most gamers are not the ones that watch shows like this. They're the ones who are kind of are like, oh, I can get a Series S, and it's this cheapy thing, and I get all these games. Cool. Most people are more than fine with that. Eddie T says I'm Game Pass Core, and I'm getting screwed. $15 more just to play multiplayer. Yeah, you are getting screwed. And it's weird they don't have a third. Maybe they just didn't want to confuse it, but it's weird they don't have a tier that's just like, look, I don't want Game Pass. I just want to play online, But okay. So Concord beta came out. They left it open for about 13, 14 hours beyond where it would be. I want to talk about my thoughts on it. I want to hear your thoughts on it. In no particular order. Let me tell. Oh man, this is a very hard game to read the tea leaves on, I think, because it absolutely has a real problem or a number of real problems, but it's also quite good in a lot of fundamental ways, even though there are still problems with that. I like high time to kill. People complain about the time to kill. There are some dominant strategies that once you find them with your teammates you're pretty much unstoppable for the most part, unless somebody just accidentally screws up. But there are some really great fundamentals, and even if this game bombs, I really hope that Sony recognizes what they have in this team, which is made up of a bunch of Halo guys and Call of Duty guys and Apex Legends guys and girls. That this is a genuinely well-made game. I think the IP hurts this. We'll talk about the gameplay in a minute, but I think I think this is what the game feels like to me. Concord feels like to me. And I said this on a test stream earlier this morning, but it feels to me like it's a game where you've got here was my comparison this morning, and it's a very obscure cut, and it's a deep cut, but it works. So I'll do it again. There's a band called Styx from the 70s and 80s. I'm sure you've heard of them, even if you don't know their music. And they used to make this music that was kind of like rock opera, which I love. Stuff like Mr. Roboto and Come Sail Away. And at some point, they got rid of the main guy who wrote all of that, Dennis DeYoung, and he went solo, and the other guys just kept being this bar band, basically, still touring to this day. And they were just like, dude, we just want to play rock and roll. All this weird fucking, what the fuck is Kilroy? And what are you saying? Our new album is a statement on capitalism and how, shut up, let's just go get girls and play rock and roll. This is a game that needed to be shut up, let's go get girls and play rock and roll. I don't mean it needs to be as basic as just make it military and shut the fuck up, but this is a game that this IP, whatever you may think of the IP, this feels like somebody really wanted to tell a story. And you hear them talk about it a lot when it comes to the previews, like, oh, we're doing this thing, and every week or month there's a new video, and we're going to upload the character background. And we saw that Blizzard did this with Overwatch. Was it Overwatch? Yeah. At the beginning, and they tried to do it, and to their credit, they had a much better IP, and even that wasn't why that game was hugely successful. But this just feels like, would you get your fucking horse shit out of my fucking shooter? Right? You are in the world where you are competing with Call of Duty, and you are competing with Rainbow Six Siege, and you are competing with a new Battlefield that probably is going to be pretty good since they've turned the corner on it and whatnot. This is too much Sony IP. It's like they got to find that sweet spot where it is creative and it is unique, and they can plant a flag and say, this is our IP, but this feels too much like it's in your fucking face, whether you like the IP or not. So that's one thing I did not like about this game. I just wish it would shut the fuck up with all of its, like, let me tell you a story. I'm like, no, I'm not playing this for that, right? Then there's the IP itself, which is, at best, it's a Guardians of the Galaxy ripoff. I will say I love the spaceship design. I love the color design. There's this wonderful kind of Atari box art 1970s flavor to the whole thing, which I adore. But I think the character design is really, really bad. It's bad for two reasons. I mean, characters are like album covers in a lot of ways. If this game became the next big thing, people would fall in love with Starchild or Roka or Linux, not because they're brilliant character designs, but because you spend so much time with them. It's like the Nirvana album cover for was it Nevermind or whatever it was with the baby? That album, there's a million covers that are aesthetically better than that in terms of album covers, but it's a classic because of what it ultimately began to represent, which was a great affection for that music at that time. Similarly, with video game characters, you spend a lot of time with Roka, you're going to suddenly like Roka, right? So it's less about that and more about, to me, like it feels, and I am the most, you guys know this, I am the second most progressive guy you know. The first most progressive person you know, although you probably don't know her, and she's one of the best concept artists I've ever worked with, is this woman here, Nafisa. I worked with her at Bartlett Jones. She is just blisteringly gifted and talented. But she is also very, very progressive. And while she can do some badass straight up art like this, she's also very much into representation, which is great, but she was she was the art director for We Are OFK. A lot of the designs in Concord feel like that. Right. And that's not bad. You guys, I don't have a problem with that, but I'm not looking for that cast of characters in a kind of sci-fi shooter, where as much as they want to push the story, I'm not there for the story. I'm there for fucking badassery, right? And so I think a lot of these characters really suffer because it's too, like, and again, I'm progressive. I love DEI shit. I think it's important. I think diversity is important. But this is like the woke Avengers. And I think it just doesn't work because it's so on the nose and it's so pervasive that it almost just feels like uninspired at that point, and just kind of it was one of the few things I've seen that's diverse that turns me off because it seems so overtly diverse. That I don't mean because there's a black person and an old person and this person and that. I just mean that it's so on the nose that it's hard to really lose yourself in the fantasy of that. So I don't like the character designs in this game. What I will say about this game that I do like, I also don't like there's no training mode in this game. And I get it, it's a beta, but, I go into these battles going, I don't know what any of these buttons do yet. They're all the characters, which I think is great, play different. They really feel different. I love that. I love the fact that it is a team-based game, even though I tend to like more solo team games like Call of Duty. Yeah, I'm in a team match, but I can also go be hero on my own if I want. Even though I don't like using mics in most games, you don't have to use a mic, but you do have to be aware of and stick around your team, and you can do pretty well. And I think that's pretty fucking good too. I think the characters move a little bit too slowly in the game. I don't have a problem with the time to kill. I like time to kill at this length. But I really need a training mode where I can try all the characters and see what the buttons do because they play so different. But I don't know. I mean, if I'm these guys, and here's what I think, I don't think you build a game like this these days without having a kill switch or a get out of jail free switch. It's very different things, I know. But a switch that says, look, we want to instantly go to free to play. It'll take us 2 weeks because we built it from the ground up knowing we either know we're going free to play eventually or we would go free to play probably. Whereas with Drawn to Death, it started free to play and then had to convert to paid. That was like a 5, 6, 7 month ordeal because it wasn't built with that in mind, right? So my guess is this is ultimately going to go free to play because I don't think it's going to do all that well. People who were saying it's bombing, it's not. You can't look at the Steam numbers. The only people who could play it this weekend on Steam had to have pre-ordered it on PC. You might have been able to pre-order it on PS5 and still play the PC, but it wasn't very popular on Steam this weekend. Next weekend is an open beta. I will be playing it on PC because I want to play this with a mouse instead of a controller. We'll see. But my guess is this is probably not going to do all that well. It'll probably go free to play. What I would really love to see them do is give this time, but be aggressive in somebody on that team really going, like, don't fight for the story. Whoever is pushing that shit on this team needs to take a seat. I'm not saying they're a good or a bad writer. They just don't belong in this product at the level that they are engaged, right? So don't give that person, whoever it is, the keys to the kingdom. Give the person who the whole time has been shouting, look, this is a meat and potatoes game, man. Let's do some character adjustments. Let's show the audience that we're listening, not because we're anti-diverse. I'm not about that at all. Fuck you. Diversity's great. Makes the world go round. Literally, well, not literally, but almost literally. Metaphorically, literally. Shut up. I'm a fan of that stuff. But this game, no one's watching your cutscenes. Nobody gives a fuck about these people right now. The only reason we're going to care is if the game blows our minds, and you're going to turn off a lot of people because the fantasy you're asking them to partake in is just not that compelling, and it's kind of obnoxiously on the nose. So do some character adjustments, make them less obnoxiously on the nose. Probably go free to play. I'd love to see them really give this some runway like Rainbow Six Siege had, because I don't think this needs to suffer like Destruction All-Stars did, where it comes out and they're like, it's not working, it's dead. I mean, they tried, but they just could never pull it off. But I think there's something here. I think it would be disingenuous if you're really into games and gameplay to play this and just go, it's crap. I mean, it may not be for you, but it's definitely not crap. It is a very well-made shooter. Controls great. There's some neat ideas there, but it definitely needs some time to cook out in the wild, and hopefully they will get it. Okay, I'm going to go to the chat. And let me see what you guys thought. So this was the game that was out this weekend. Who else played it? What did you guys think? That was my little. It's a lot, Jaffe. I know. That was my, loudmouth going on about it. Let's see what you guys say. I played it for an hour, says Eddie T. Hour and a half. I hated it. The moving and shooting is awkward and feels like playing a shooter on the Wii. I did not find that. I found that it was... I didn't feel that way at all. I felt that it was slow. And I know that the characters, like I eventually found a character that was barely fast enough. That I didn't like. But, that maybe, I can't quite tell if I have to get used to it. But you're saying you didn't like it at all, the way it controlled. I thought it controlled pretty good. Although I did have to change the sensitivity. They don't give you a lot of buttons and knobs and shit to tweak like in Call of Duty when it comes to the sticks. But they did give you up, down, left, right sensitivity and aim down sight sensitivity. And that I had to pop up to a 7. And I suck at games like this. Most games I suck at. And it still wasn't great. But I have issues I cannot fully cover in chat. Well, yeah, but that's just in general. Okay, yes, Sony bought the studio that made this game, Joe, and I think they should. No, Eddie says Destiny devs, not Halo. No, there are. If you go to their LinkedIn page, there are people who worked at 343. There are people who worked at on the Call of Duty Apex Legends stuff. There are people who worked on what's the other one you mentioned? Destiny. There's a lot of real strong shooter pedigree on this team. And so, I get why Sony bought the studio. And I really hope what they see is, even if this game never makes it, even if they say, you know what, let's try again, give these guys something more meat and potatoes, man. Give them some fucking meat and potatoes. Give them a fucking military shooter with a bit of a sexy sci-fi twist and be off to the fucking races. Because they have the ability to do it. And, it would be a real shame if this team doesn't get multiple chances, because they're clearly really, really fucking talented at this stuff. Could the lore work as a single player game, says Kyle? It's kind of interesting art style, but nothing grabbed me. I don't know, because I barely watched it. It literally, when you load this game up, there's like a cutscene and then another cutscene. And then I think there's one more cutscene. And then afterwards, it's very clear. Like I said, to me, it seems, I don't have evidence of this, but it seems like somebody on the team had enough control to say, I want to tell a story. Or we have to make a big IP. Like it doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel like it just sort of came into existence out of passion and interest. It felt like there was just, it's not a good fit. So I don't know if by itself it would be great. By itself, it kind of looks like a low rent Guardians of the Galaxy in terms of the IP, but I haven't spent too much time with it. I will say, well, I'll get to that chat in a second. The character says Swap initially appeared generic, but after watching the cutscenes, I was surprised at the quality of the acting. I don't play too many AAA games, so take that with a grain of salt. Right. Like I said, I'm not even criticizing the quality. It may be if you take the time to watch it, it may be a great narrative. It may be a great cast of characters, but for this kind of game, it seems absolutely too much. And then I get to Brett Williams' comment. He says, oh, here we go. Because it's Sony, it has to be unique, but you'll excuse the same respun garbage from everyone else. It doesn't have to be unique. I'm saying they should dial down the, hey, let's be artist knob on this one. This is not a Neil Druckmann joint. This should be your McDonald's. This should be your Michael Bay summer action film. I don't need this game to be, not that I made the game, but, if I'm in charge, I don't need this game to be something that is about the human condition. Just fucking give me some cool characters that don't look stupid, and let's be off to the fucking races. They need to turn that goddamn knob down, baby. Concord was fun for one day, says Bulb, but I didn't have the desire to jump back in. You know, here's what I'll tell you. My first 3 matches with Concord I played the day it came out, and I was like, it plays great, but it's not for me, and I was done. And for some reason, maybe it was because I knew I'd be talking it on the show, I said, well, let me go back and play it a little bit more on Saturday or whatever it was. And that, for whatever reason, I happened to sort of be with a group of people that, even though we weren't using mics, because I don't like doing shit like that with most games, unless I know the people. You know, it started to click for me that it's like, okay, I need to be with my team. I need to sort of play carefully, and I need to be spatially aware of where they are and what they do, which I understand. That's Overwatch. That's a hero shooter. I get it. But I don't play a lot of those. And so once I got that, I actually found myself interested in going back. And I logged on today because I thought we were going to get a full day of Concord, but I guess it only ran until noon though. So, okay. I enjoyed the squad aspect. Yeah, Swap says of the game. It felt designed to foster cover me, fire in the hole type of play. I agree. Absolutely, I agree. Jaffe, none of the recent shooters are that good. I just don't understand how they can make a better shooter nowadays that could beat Call of Duty. Well, I mean, I'm trying to think of which ones you're talking about, right? I mean, I assume that you want to take Battlefield out of the conversation because they screwed the pooch, shat the bed for different reasons, and they've kind of turned the corner. Rainbow Six Siege is probably the last big shooter that's really made. Maybe not. Maybe Apex Legends was. I don't know. But I will tell you that I thought it was. I enjoyed it. You know, I didn't have a problem with it. I don't think they have to beat Call of Duty, but I do think they want to be in the conversation. But if you do want to beat Call of Duty, you ain't going to do it with this IP at all. They need to fucking, change this shit up. I hope they do. Okay. I wonder if you have the imagination to come up with a better shooter game, says Bulb. I mean, everybody thinks they can do it better until they have to do it better. I don't know. My last shooter game was a disaster financially and critically. So what the fuck do I know? But I think if I'm running Sony, though, or PlayStation, I would be looking at this and going, guys, there is a balance they're going to have to walk, because if you look at the trailer, that's all we've seen. What's it called for Fair Play, Fair Game, which is Jade Raymond's company, Haven. And I believe they've been bought as well, right? By first party. This looks like Ubisoft generic crap. And I'm not saying the game is going to be crap. It may not, but conceptually, this feels so generic, so been there, done that there is, I think they have to find that sweet spot, and maybe they don't, because, Helldivers 2 is not very original. It's original enough that it doesn't just feel like it's a military shooter, but it also very much feels like a ripoff of Starship Troopers. So, but this just feels like I've seen these characters, I've seen this concept ad nauseum, and so none of it is appealing. And I don't think the audience is going to find this appealing any more than they found that Sega game, whatever it was called, that came and didn't even launch. They did a couple of open alphas, and then they said, now we're shutting it down. Hyenas. So, I don't know where you have to go at an IP level when you're making a game like this. You don't want to go so far into the realm, in my opinion, of originality that it's like you're killing the core fantasy, which is I want to be a badass person with a gun. But you also don't want to be so generic that you have to basically be better than Call of Duty, because that's basically what you're making is just a military shooter. And at that point, your IP is not going to do any of the heavy lifting. It's just going to be about the execution. So I don't know. It's a tough nut to crack, but it's a hell of a valuable nut if you can crack it. But this thing to me just seems, it's just so... Here's what I think it is, and I'm a 53-year-old man, so I don't fucking know. But I look at this thing that feels very Ubisoft with the mask, the monkey mask, and the little the robot with the smiley face, then it goes sad, you know, that kind of like, oh, it's punk rock or whatever. And I go, it feels to me like a bunch of 35-year-olds trying to think they know what 12 and 15, 16-year-olds like. But I don't know if that's the case. Maybe this is what they like. Maybe they just genuinely like this and I'm too fucking old and I just think it seems forced. I have no idea. But I do know that I haven't heard anybody really talk about it, so I don't think I'm alone. About The Last of Us multiplayer, why it was canceled, I don't know, but I'm going to tell you about a game that I started playing today that you look at that and you go, oh my God, Last of Us could fucking just fucking decimate if they followed this trajectory. So we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. Okay. Starship Troopers, while being satire, plays the serious moments serious. Yeah, no, they do. But I'm just saying that if you're looking at Helldivers 2, you know, first off, the number of people in Sony's core audience that saw Starship Troopers, I mean, it wasn't a massive hit. It's a cult hit. It was different enough that it could stand out without just being like a Call of Duty ripoff. And I think they intentionally or not found that sweet spot. But this goes too far into this is what the cool kids like. And the other goes too far into, I want to tell a story all about these diverse characters and that's my true love. And I had to make a shooter because that's what we got funded for. But I really wanted to tell this story. And it doesn't work at all, in my opinion. Okay. Well, there is stuff to talk about on this because the gameplay is basically, you know, it looks like it's going to be, at least conceptually. Let's put it this way. If the gameplay is as generic as the IP, then I think we're in a lot of trouble. We're in a lot of trouble. Well, trouble, but you know. Salvador, thank you, buddy. He's been a member of the Diet Soda Soldiers for 22 goddamn months, buddy. He says Concord is a good-looking game, but also the cast of characters is unbalanced, with 65% of them have been female. Twisted Metal is kind of a hero shooter. It is. It is absolutely hero shooter, one of the first ones. 65. Well, are you saying it's unbalanced because there are more vaginas than penises, or do you mean gameplay is unbalanced? Because I'm assuming you're talking about vagina to penis ratio, because gameplay doesn't really make a difference what they have betwixt their legs. But Tones Mix says most people dissing this game never played it. I've barely seen anyone that played it not like it. Yeah, I played it. I liked aspects of it. But like I said, I found aspects of it really just terrible. Just really badly done. What if Sony just dropped Faction, says Eric, the way it is now and see how it goes? I mean, you know, I'm not agreeing with get woke, go broke. I don't have a problem with getting woke, but I do have a problem. You know, Magnum, no. See, this is the problem I have with certain people like you, or people like you. I'll just say that. I don't know who you are, but let me do this. This is the problem I have with that comment, Magnum. That this is not good or bad because you think there's DEI in it. That's a ridiculous statement. The game could still be a brilliant fucking game. You've got people who played it like Eddie T, who says, look, I played it. I didn't like the way it moved. That's a valid reason to walk away from this game. But you know, it's got nothing to do with it. It's not going to sink or what I would say is I agree that the cast is poorly, designed. It feels too on the nose. Sure. And there is a white dude. Who cares? I don't even care though. What does it matter? I thought Tio was, but he's probably Mexican, but he's the most kind of generic character they've got. Oh no, there's no white guy. What? And I don't think it's black people being woke. It's not that. It's not that at all. It's that it's like, you know, it so goes out of its way to say we're not going to fall into what the herd likes traditionally, that by not having the stuff that is clearly popular and people like it, whether it's trying to make a statement or not, it just comes off as obnoxious because of that. Not to say that I'm not going to play this game because there's no white people in it. No, I don't give a shit about that. But I think that sort of poor IP management, from that to too many cutscenes to being obsessed with their little fucking story versus that's not what this game is. I think that permeates the DNA of this, and in that it gives off a bad smell, basically. And I don't like that. Yeah, Joe, I'm with you. He says, I wish I knew about what more my character did and the special powers mean. Yeah, I'm with you. But they don't get, I'm sure when it comes out, finally, they will give you a training mode. I can't imagine they're going to launch this without that. Darth Nugget says, here's what's weird though. You say you don't care about diversity. You think it kills games, people going out of their way to be diverse. And here you are, I assume you're a white guy, and you're complaining about a game that has nobody who represents you. So which one is it? Is it the fact that you don't like diversity that feels forced, or you don't mind it as long as it's diversity that's forced for you? Because, you know, there's nothing wrong with a diverse cast of characters. They're just not very interesting. This guy is the fucking James Gunn's brother. Right? I mean, and this guy is the goddamn Drax. This is Quill. This is basically a sci-fi gay Django Unchained. This is, what was the lady who won the goddamn Oscar in Everywhere All at Once, whatever the fuck that is. That's her, right? I mean, it's so obvious. This is Melissa Villaseñor from SNL. I don't know. It just feels, you know, it's like, look, let's put a fat guy in there. Look, I'm a fat guy. Michelle Yeoh. Yeah. I got no problem with fat people being, you know, there's a fat character in the new version of the Teen Titans, the comic. He's cool. I love him. I don't have a problem with Daw being a fat guy, but it doesn't feel like he's a fat guy because he's a fat guy. It feels like he's a fat guy because it's like, let's put a fat guy in there. That just feels a little weird to me. That feels weird to me. Okay. All right, let's move forward a little bit, though. Because here's what I want to tell you, though, about the success of this game. And by the way, yeah, you're saying poor Battleborn, Ravnos. You know, it's interesting, too, because you really have to be, you got to be careful, right? You can go too far and you get into the realm of, I mean, the Battleborn characters were so interesting, but, you know, if the game's not interesting, but what was the game that came out from the guys who, what was the name of the game that came out from the guys who just did Hellblade 2 that was like their Xbox exclusive shooter brawler thing? It's like sometimes you can over design your characters and they just feel like, it's like, dude, take a fucking seat. It's too much. It's too much where I can see you designing. Bleeding Edge, right? And there's a lot of that in there. Okay. But here's the thing though. I think this will go free to play. But I think this is going to be really interesting because this weekend or next weekend, we're also going to see the closed beta coming up of Rivals. Now, I'm more interested in Rivals now because of playing Concord. Partially because I'm not going to spend $40 on it, probably. I liked it, but I didn't like it enough to play it and spend money on it like that yet. But also because this is coming. I love these characters. And it's free and it's on more systems, which means you'll have more players. And even though I've seen some gameplay footage where I'm like, people who have actually played it have said it's quite good. Or not quite good. They're like, it's Overwatch 2. So if you like Overwatch 2, it's basically that and it'll be more of that. And I haven't watched this yet. I thought we'd watch it while we're talking, but they just put out their Venom trailer as well a couple of days ago. Awesome says it was all right, but it's an Overwatch clone. Yeah, so Awesome, did you play Concord this weekend? And if you did, what do you think compared to Overwatch and compared to this? Is it better? Or are they all three, or are they both clones of Overwatch? And in that case, there's usually room for a Coke and a Pepsi, you know? Yeah, Overwatch used to not be free. That's true. The blue tone Venom. Yeah, I think the motion of these characters, like I said, I haven't played Overwatch 2 more than 5 minutes. It wasn't for me. So I may not like this, but I look at how Venom moves. I look at how Spidey moves. And that's pretty cool. Okay, I did play Concord. I play Rivals mainly because of the IP. So which did you like more, Awesome Tatum? Did you like Marvel Rivals more, or did you like Concord more between the two? Because it sounds like you're, at least in our chat, you're the only one who's played both. The Marvel game looks more Overwatch, but way better due to the movement, says Ravnos. And Awesome Tatum like Rivals more. Yeah. Yeah, I hope I get into the beta. I think it's the 26th. Maybe it's in 2 weeks, but I hope I get into the beta of this because I really want to play it, and I don't know when it's officially coming out, but I'm tired of waiting on it. God damn it. But anyway, there you go. So we'll see. But yeah, man, I'm in. I will say though that if you're Sony, man, I hope they don't fucking. I don't think they're going to, but I hope they know what they've got in this developer of Concord, right? I hope they don't just go, okay, it wasn't a hit, fuck it, they're done. There are some changes, like intellectual property changes, but you know, fuck you, Bukaki. I was going to end the show with your new song, but fuck you now, no way. So you got to play the game, bitch. You got to know who the people in power are, motherfucker. I hope I'll get access. I mean, I'll get access eventually. Jaffe, would it cost more to have TM traditionally made single player or free to play? It would cost more to do it single player. I don't know if you mean that because you're comparing single player to free to play. Do you mean like as a paid title? Because single player free to play, single player Twisted Metal is a real problematic sticky widget. Because ultimately, if you don't have the multiplayer, it's always been hard for anybody to make a game like that compelling as sort of just 20 missions that are all really good. So I don't know. I don't know if that's what you mean. G says Marvel Rivals has the benefit of the characters that have developed fan bases. Right. And also, it's free. And also it's on a lot of goddamn systems. Okay. Am I going to talk about Call of Duty? Yeah, sure. Why not? Look who's always prepared. Game Pass subscribers don't have to pre-order to get access. This is coming up end of next month. Starting in August, if you're a Game Pass subscriber, you get to play the beta. It says Call of Duty Black Ops 6, the first game in the series, won't be giving PS players exclusive entry into its early access beta. Instead, the Gulf War era shooter will arrive simultaneously on all platforms, including Xbox and PC in August. The beta weekend's officially announced today. It's all coming from Kotaku. The latest sequel's innovation is the ability to run and dive in every direction like Max Payne. I saw today you can't turn that off either, so you got to love it or not, but it's in. Game Pass subscribers will get access to the first weekend for free. Everyone else needs to pre-order it. Suck it, bitches. The second weekend is free and open to everybody. Early access, August 30th, September 4th. Open beta, September 6th, September 9th. There you go. So I'm looking forward to it. Very much looking forward to it. Now, I will also tell you, nobody cares about that. That's for tomorrow. Fuck it. Nobody cares. Just tell you something real quick, by the way. Tomorrow is Prime Day on Amazon. Tomorrow is Prime Day on the Amazon, and this is only for 3 days. So, Tuesday the 16th and the 17th, you'll be able to get Chivalry 2, Rise of the Tomb Raider, both really good. Suicide Squad on your PC if you game on PC for free. I really, really highly recommend this because I'm not suggesting it is the world's best game. It's not. But it is genuinely really fun. It is a fun B-level video game, and it controls great. And Boomerang, I found Boomerang a joy to play. Some people like playing Shark Bet or whatever, but it is a fun game if you decide not to play it as a service game. Like, I have no interest in unlocking rarities or any of that horse shit. I just played it. Yeah, Brett Williams says, nah, fuck game. Oh, you're not talking to me, thank God. Eddie T says Suicide Squad Modern Day Saints Row reboot. Maybe. Magnum says, who wants that trash game? I don't know, Magnum. That's what I'm saying, buddy. Why don't you try it? It's free. It's a fun, very well-made game. I'm not saying it's the best game out there. I'm not saying it needs to leapfrog a bunch of stuff that might be in your to-play pile. But the idea that you're going to be one of those people that stick to your guns about this and you won't even try it is absolutely ridiculous. Ligma Prime. Thank you, buddy. Oh, you subbed over with your Prime subscription. I'm spitting everywhere on the mic. Thank you, Lig. I appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, if you're watching over on the Twitch, you can use your Prime subscription, subscribe to your old Papa Jaffe, and allow me to keep doing what I love to do. Not this show, but I spend the money on cocaine. Did Sweet Baby help with Suicide Squad? I don't know. I don't care. Maybe not. Who knows? Maybe Sweet Baby fucked the shark in the butthole. I don't know. What I'm telling you is it's fun. It's not even, it's free and it's fun. And even if you play it for a couple of hours and you're like, yeah, Jaffe was right. There's some good shooting. There's some good traversal. Just be a fucking student of the art form, man. Jesus fucking Christ. It's free. Hey, Wayne, you can say that all you want, but I'd fuck Harley in a heartbeat, even in this game. Which says I wouldn't touch it even if it was free. It is free. So go touch it. Why would Which X? You're a relatively logical individual from what I can tell chatting with you on this show. Why would you not touch it? If you have Prime, and not most, but a lot of people in America subscribe to Amazon Prime for all kinds of reasons. Why would you not touch it? I'm telling you, it's fun. It's you may disagree. Oh, we're going to talk about Once Human in just a little bit. I didn't say I wouldn't bang Harley, just saying she had a bad haircut. Okay, too much on hardware, I understand. Just saying she had a bad haircut. I'm not going to use the word you use, but it's a word for homosexual woman, but it's a slur. What's funny about you, Wayne, is there aren't a lot of men, and again, I don't care, but there aren't a lot of men who are straight who are considered interested and engaged in discussing women's haircuts. That's usually, if you're a man, that's usually left for the gay males in our group, right? Which is great. Nothing wrong with that. And it doesn't mean you can't be a straight guy and be into women's hair and be a hairdresser. I'm just saying as the tropes go, you're the guy who's making homosexual slurs talking about women's haircuts. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Master Luke, buddy. Well, not yet. But only because Master Luke has done a lot of great art. You'll start seeing a lot more for the show. If you've seen the little cartoon Jaffe, that's all him. But the reason it's not in is today is the first day we're streaming to YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. And in that, there's a lot of technical things that are not working yet. But that once I know that all the subscribe, like we haven't had anybody pay for a membership today for YouTube. I don't know if this system will recognize it like it recognizes Twitch, and that's where that animation will play. So I'm about a week away from getting those in, is what I would say. Okay. K-Nub says, whoever smelt it, dealt it. Whoever makes the gay joke is a gay. Yeah, and again, I'm older than you guys. I thought your generation was supposed to be a lot more progressive and shit. Be gay. What's wrong with being gay? Seriously, what is wrong with being gay? A few seconds ago, we got Functus Official has also subscribed. That's where also the art will go. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for using your Prime sub to subscribe to this here channel. I'm not going to say that. That's a terrible joke. You're not. Mutant Mo says I'm hard as fuck right now. I know you've been here for 7 years, motherfucker. I appreciate that. Seriously, oh, come on, man. Functus Officio. Jaffe, the correct way to make that dig is, why does her haircut bug you? Are you a stylist? Yeah, I'm doing this without a net, bitch. I don't have any time. I'm just, boom, boom, boom. You can be gay, just not around me, says Wayne. I don't mess with no Fleece Johnson. First off, there's probably plenty of gay people around you that you just don't know. And B, I don't know. That's a weird thing, because just because somebody's gay and you're male Master Luke says, I wish I was gay. I hate my wife. Well, that's not the only solve, Master Luke. There's other ways to deal with that. But you, are you under the impression that maybe you're really hot? I don't fucking know. But are you kind of saying that basically if gay people are around you because you're so hot, they're going to want to fuck you? Is that what you're saying? Holy cow. All right. I mean, that must be nice to be that attractive. I wouldn't know what that's like, but enjoy that. I got nothing. I'm not going to, this is only for me and JoJo D and kids of the 80s. The Karate Kid Street Rumble. I'm excited for this. I don't care. I've played all two of the Karate Kid games from this publisher. Neither were like this. I don't know if it's the same developer, but it's the same publisher, and they were both based on Cobra Kai, and they were all very much, they were ambitious, and there was clearly some design minds at work, at least on the first one, that I was like, that's pretty cool what they're trying. But it was clear they didn't have the budget and or time to actually make it work. So I don't know who made this, but I love games like this. I love the concept. I love the franchise, whether it's old school or the new Cobra Kai, which goes into the new season next month. I love the fact that it's all the characters. You can even play his girlfriend, Allie Mills. Come on, man. I am super fucking in. Super fucking in. I hope you can dress up as like a shower when you're Daniel. You can play Mr. Miyagi. You can play those guys that he befriended in Japan. Come on now, but I'm excited. I'm excited for this. Look at that. Look at Kreese over there. Son of a bitch. Look at Johnny, piece of shit. Although Johnny ends up being redeemed. Have you guys seen, you guys need to watch the goddamn Cobra Kai. Oh, he did the kick. He did the crane kick on a motorcycle. Look at that. Boom. You can't defend it. But anyway, yeah, I'm in. I might. That's fine, Ravnos. Ravnos says I might play 90 minutes and be done. No problem. What do I care? But what I'll tell you, if you watch Cobra Kai and the new trailer for Cobra Kai, Hawk is this guy who starts out as a total otaku and then he becomes this kind of badass, and then he changes a couple of times. He's cool. But now in his new version for the final season, he's got a mohawk that's an American flag. It's awesome. I'm super in. I'm super fucking in. Witch X says, I just watched a review on Suicide Squad and the game doesn't look right. The vibes, the aesthetic, the gameplay look average. Yeah, no, it's fun. It's really fun. Play it. You'll be happy you did. You may not want to play it for more than a couple hours, but you know. Wayne is asking, is Multiversus dead? I haven't heard anything about it. My guess is it is. Let's do our weekly Steam DB Multiversus. See where they're at. I know about 2 weeks ago, they were below Brawlhalla. So they're currently at 5,000 in game. Okay. So they are, for the last, let's go for the last month. Yeah. They're on a bit of a steady decline, kind of holding at 5,000, but now let's look at their competition, which is Brawlhalla. These guys are at 12,000, and this game has been out for, 7-8 years? It launched 2017. So I don't know. What do you mean Hawk was at Sony ImageSoft? Hudson Hawk? Or Hawk the karate guy? Does JoJo D know if Hilary Swank is in part 2? I mean, I'm not going to answer that question. I'm not going to, Wayne B, what price was too high for characters? What are you talking about? Hawk Tua? Yeah, not her. Yeah. I love this story. Darth Nugget says, I definitely tried the train, God damn it. I definitely tried the crane kick as a kid in the 90s. Movie came out in 86, but one of the producers, a guy named, real story dude, did all kinds of great promotional stuff. Anyway, he said he knew the movie was a hit when they did a screening of the film about 2 months before it came out. And when he came out into the parking lot, all the kids were doing the crane technique on each other. Not actually, but pretending. And he's like, that's all I needed. I went to Hawaii to relax because I knew we had a massive fucking hit. And they did. It's a great fucking show. movie. Dark Matter Tones, the book is right behind me. It's fucking excellent. Not as good as his other book that he wrote right after it, but it's brilliant. And I've only watched 2 episodes of the show on Apple TV, but it's excellent. Excellent. So Eddie T says, did you hear Crash 5 supposedly died? I did. But I know they're making something else and it's being funded by Microsoft, so maybe it's that. I don't fucking know. Crash 4 is the best Crash they ever made. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you fucking say. Crash 4 is the best Crash Bandicoot that has ever been made. If you take your nostalgia goggles off, it is. This game I played this weekend. Something happened. And I don't know if it's just that Mad Jack mullet came out and stole its thunder. But I played, this is Angerfoot. I played the demo a year ago, 8 months ago, whatever. And I just thought it was the coolest, most addictive fucking thing. So I very quickly purchased the game this weekend. And I played it. I haven't given up on it, but it no longer has a hold on me like it did when I played the demo. There was a sense of pace to it that was so, like, I could barely breathe. Like I had to stay just totally, you know, it really was an interesting game for an ADD guy like me to play. But yeah, Angerfoot. But then Mad Mullet Jack came along, if that's the name of it, or Mullet Mad Jack or whatever. And it actually amped up that. And now I think, this feels slow to me, right? So I don't know, but I will say though that it's very well made. The style is great. It almost seems a little overly stylized. I know that sounds weird, but I think video games do better not. And I'm guilty of this, so I'm hypersensitive. But like Twisted Metal Black exists because, at least in its style, because of the movie 7. We just simply ripped off the movie 7. There was nothing about that was like, oh, that's Jaffe's vision. Yeah, Jaffe's vision is basically to rip off David Fincher's vision, right? And that's fine. It worked at the time. People in games weren't doing that kind of stuff, but that's sort of where it ended. But now I see stuff like this, like Underground Comics, and I think it's wonderful. It's beautifully done. But I also think that it feels like it's sort of co-opting a style that it doesn't really earn. For me, there's a game called Ultra Kill that you know what, this is what I would say. And this is kind of like in the weeds and kind of elitist snobby bullshit, but I'm sorry. But it's how I feel, which is Ultra Kill plays like this, like you feel the way when you play Ultra Feel that you feel when you look at this art. But simply taking the art and putting it in the game doesn't transfer the feeling of this kind of punk rock, fuck you, underground comics with an X. It just feels forced, even though it's brilliant art. I love the art in this game. But I think when you look at something like Ultra Kill, which isn't really that pretty of a game, the very nature of how that game plays is punk rock. And I think that's when you have the trappings of punk rock or underground comics, but the game isn't really that. The moment to moment, it stands out like a sore thumb to me. I don't know if you guys feel that, but I certainly do. Yeah, Brett says nearly every super successful game is a ripoff of something. I'm not suggesting it's not. I understand nothing, art is not created in a vacuum, but what I'm saying is that if you are, that's a very different conversation than saying we are going to try to make the player feel the way we feel when we ingest this other medium without the gameplay, just using the art is what I would say. Okay. Jaffe, I have a vision, says Nubs, of you and I elevating this channel. No need to rip it off. Just pay me $50 a week. But why would that elevate the channel? Speaking of people, what? RE 7 times 7. How the fuck am I supposed to say that? It's followed us over on Twitch. Thank you, buddy. Okay, let's move forward, though. But it's out now if you want to play it. It is good. There's nothing bad about it. There's nothing. It's not like I think it's bad. It's just, you know, it exists there. Okay. I played some EA college football today. I understand that's not for everybody, but you know, and I probably won't buy it. I have it for 10 hours. Oh, I have it for 10 hours on EA Play Game Pass Ultimate. And I'm enjoying it for what it is, but I don't, my ADD makes it almost impossible to play video game football. And just like it makes it almost impossible for me to be good at gambling, because I don't have patience, right? So if I'm on the fourth down, even though only a fucking moron would go for it when you're like 70 yards away, I always go for it. I know that is not good coaching, but I like the drama, right? And so what ends up happening is almost inevitably in these games, I fall behind massively, and then I lose interest because I'm like, I can't deal with that deficit, the points deficit. But it is really good. I love the weird and fanboy fights, says Diet Soda Soldier Jojo D, who's been a member for 44 months. It's time for me to make some new icons for you guys. 2 years is we got lifers in here, which I appreciate. We need a better icon, a newer icon. He says, I love the weird and fanboy fights seem to have an audience. Also, FMV game night like the complex. When will we get more of these? Okay. Well, fanboy fights does not have an audience. People who like it, but I can't even break 1,000 on the re-edit of that. So while I am going to make a video or at least talk about the winners this week, I don't think that's going to be something that stays on the schedule. I love the weird is going to come back not as frequently because I'm trying to grow the channel, and right now it's the least successful of what we're doing. You know what surprisingly did really well and people seem to really like is the Let's Read of the EGM thing. So I'll be doing another one of those this week, and I'll be doing a war story for members this week. But those two, Joe, for now are on ice. FMV game night, yes, I have a couple I want to play, and one of those is the complex. I just got to figure out when we're going to do it. But I appreciate that, buddy. Okay. Okay. The magazine review has an audience. It does. And so I'll be doing that. Thank you, Mute Mo. Okay, let's move forward though. I want to talk about this game. Talk about that tomorrow. That I started playing. Now, I downloaded this. This is called Once Human. And I downloaded this for the Steam Next Fest, and I played it for about, I played it for about 20 minutes. I was like, whatever. But I heard so many people talking about it that I went back and I played it today on GeForce Now. And I don't know. Maybe I was just in a funk when I played this at Next Fest. This is cool, man. This is basically like Kojima and Control meet Ark Survival or something. It is a survival game. You can play it. It is. You have to be online with it. You can have PvP or PvE or both. You do not have to. You can play most of it solo. It's got to be connected, but it's not like Destiny where it's like if you go out in the world and you try to do it without your buddies, you're fucked. But certainly it helps, and it's designed to be that way in part. But it is so creative. It really does feel like Death Stranding meets Control, and it's also just really solid. It's got a lot of great mechanics if you like survival games, from crafting to collecting to fighting monsters to building your character. It's free to play right now. It doesn't seem to be pay to win. It seems to be very expensive cosmetics. You can ride motorcycles. I don't know if that's the only vehicle that you can ride right now, but let me try if I can turn this down somewhere. Hang on. Yeah. Okay. No. Stop making noise. Stop. Why are you making noise? Stop it. Okay. I mean, look at some of the designs of these fucking things, right? It's really cool, really creative. I'm playing right now. The game is very fun. The boss fights are not hard, says Boble. At least so far. I've only fought one boss. Is this not on console? It's only on PC right now. I'm sure it'll come to console. Yeah, and I played Zenless Zone, and I also played First Descendant, and they were fine, but they didn't. This is just a lot more interesting. This feels much more like a really cool IP that also happens to be a new free-to-play game. So I recommend at least spending a little time with it. It's cool. It's cool, man. It's creative. Now, the one thing I'll say is it is from China, which is, I'm not anti-China. I'm very much anti-Chinese government in a lot of ways. But there have been some complaints that it is putting some kind of, it says Chinese Steam game once human target of player scrutiny. I don't know. I think that's what they're trying to say. After it was discovered, it's riddled with spyware. So because I'm playing it on GeForce Now, so I don't have to download anything and install it. What I will say is that I haven't encountered this, but some people are saying that there are these weird programs in their startup that get installed and they don't really know what these are, and people are being rightly so skeptical. So I would say, look into it if that's a concern for you. But again, I'm playing it on GeForce Now, which is just fucking delightful. So, hey, look at that. We got Matty Fro has used his Prime sub. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I'm gonna write you a song right now with my pipe. Matty Pro, where did you go? I'll never know. Matty Pro. Thank you, buddy. I do appreciate it, man. There are Chinese phishing malware programs. Yeah, so I don't know. But I get it. I mean, it's BS. Jaffe, watch Pirate Software talk about it. Again, yeah, I would look into it if I was downloading it, but since I'm streaming it, I don't really care right now. I don't know if this is the beginning of a trend, my darling, delightful, delinquent friends, debutantes, donut-driven, dastardly, deliciously deviant dudes and dudettes. But I hope it's a trend, because usually we have to wait like a month for 2-month-old data. But this is saying July 6th, we're hearing the top 10. It's not what sold the most, but the top 10 most played video games across PS5, Xbox, and Steam. And I'm into that. I like knowing that. PS5, Apex Legends, number 9 on PS5. All these are PS5. Minecraft, number 9. Number 8, Madden NFL 24. Elden Ring is number 7. It's dropping. I mean, it's been out forever, and it's only because of the DLC. But Roblox, number 6. NBA 2K24, number 5. Number 4 is the First Descendant. I don't expect to see that up there very long, but I could be wrong. I know it's doing well. Grand Theft Auto Remaster Online is 3. 2 is Fortnite. 1 is Call of Duty. Xbox, do you really care? They're mostly the same on console. And then you get to Steam. You got Final Fantasy Online, Team Fortress 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Chained Together 7, 6 Rocket League, 5 Helldivers 2, 4... Isn't that interesting that Helldivers 2... is in the top 5 on Steam, but it's nowhere to be seen in the top 10 on PlayStation itself. Number 4 is Destiny. Number 3 is the First Descendant. Number 2 is Counter-Strike 2. And number 1 is Elden Ring. Isn't that something? Speaking of data, fuck me, Hellblade 2 fucking ate its own ass. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not even in the top 100 anymore. It was not a very good game. I'm sorry. I mean, it had its moments, and I didn't finish it. But, it was very full of itself and slow. And I don't know what they thought they were making. But, again, this goes to Microsoft management. It's like somebody should have stepped in and said, no, guys, this is not a compelling commercial product. Have I played Kunitsugami? You mean the thing from Capcom? I played the demo a little bit. It's kind of the tower defense Onimusha Light. I liked it, but I didn't like it enough to... I don't have any intention of going back to it. I started playing this weekend. I'd always had this on my radar and I never got around to it. And finally I said, I'm going to try it. This is Ghost Hunter. It was a PS2 game made by Cambridge, Sony Cambridge, but it was released in America by Namco, which is now Bandai Namco. I don't know if it was released as a first-party game in the UK or the Europe territories, or if it was also by Bandai over there. I don't know. I do know that this came out like the same time that the first-party game Primal came out, and I was always confused because they seem kind of similar. But I don't know if you ever played this, but this is on PS Plus, and it's really good. It really is a great throwback. I've played for about 2 hours. There's a lot of fun mechanics in it. Like he can spawn this ghost, and she has different powers. And he has ghost hunting powers, but he also has just like straight up arsenal bullets and shit. It's very of its time. This guy is like, clearly they thought he was really, really cool. Now he just comes off as kind of goofy and jokey. But this is good. And what's cool for all of you, I wish it was the old days when he spawns this creature, this woman. I don't know what they call her. I forget. You can see through her nightgown. So I know a lot of, I liked it. I was like, yeah, I remember those kind of games. That's cool. I don't know if they're going to show it here. But he can spawn these, let's see if there's a deeper in the gameplay. He can spawn this woman who has ghost. She's like a ghost, like an elemental character. And she's flying around like in this like sheer nightie that you can see her nips and shit. Come on now. Shut up. Oh, here we go. All right. So where is she? He like spawns her out. Here she comes. There she is. Right? And so, it's kind of cool. There you go, right? Come on now. I like this game. It's pretty good. Okay. I recommend if you have PS Plus. I'm not saying go, I don't know how much it costs to buy it. I was going to talk about Hallmark. Eddie T sent me some of his. I'll make that part of tomorrow's show, though. That's all I got for today, fellas. I'll see what you guys want to talk about before we wrap it up. I do want to say, though, Wave21, thank you for following, buddy, over on the Twitch.
That's for Bass Boost.
No, that's not. There we go. I want to say thank you very much, Wave21, for following us over on the Twitch, man. Thank you for that. Very much appreciated. Why is she swimming? I don't fucking know. I didn't make the goddamn game. I like ghost stuff, though, and I like... I like all that kind of stuff, so I'm happy it exists. I recommend. But I will say, though, I've been playing a lot, like I said. So Concord, I will give a little bit more time to next week because I want to play it on PC with keyboard and mouse. Ghost Hunter is in the rotation. Elden Ring, I'm still playing a lot of. First Descendant's over. I'm done. I uninstalled it. Really into Once Human right now. I don't know how long it's going to keep me in its grasp, but I like it. College football, I'm digging. Angerfoot, I like it, but I don't like it enough to love it. Wayne 4040 has come to say, hello, David Jaffe, would you like to play? Wayne, no, I wouldn't because I'm kind of busy. Fuck you, said Wayne, and went and shot at a political candidate. Come on, Wayne. Come on, man. Ghost Hunter is so good, having lots of fun streaming it, says Amadeus. Yeah, it's good, man. I'm digging it too. That I didn't even know that pop-up would still work, Ravnos. So, I'm gonna do some work on those now that I know they work. So Star Wars Bounty Hunter is also on PS Plus. Didn't really like it. I didn't like it when I first played it. Mutemo, you're digging Angerfoot. How far are you in it? Did it immediately grab you? Like I said, I loved the demo, but I haven't really fallen in love with the final. Yeah, I have played the demo of Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom. I like it, but I'm struggling with some of the platforming. I don't quite understand how to make the taxi get where I want it to go, and I get that that's part of the fun. It's kind of like this. It's like a 3D Banjo-Kazooie collectathon platformer style game, but you're in a little cute car, and it doesn't totally drive like a car, but it drives enough like a car that it doesn't feel like a biped platform game. But there are some things where I'm kind of like, What am I supposed to do? I don't know how to get where I'm trying to go. But I do think it's clever. You were hooked instantly. Maybe I'll spend a little more time with it. Maybe I'll go back to it and play it this week. So, okay, fellas. Well, look, that has been the show for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome if you're new to the show from Kill Court Order says, have you set up time for another Garvin interview? I mean, Garvin did this tweet, and I think he was serious, saying he and I should do a weekly show. I know he doesn't play a lot of video games, and so I'd want to make sure that it's something that, this audience would be interested in, because we can only talk about the old days so much. And if he doesn't want to talk about video games, what we are talking about needs to be something that's still relevant to people that come to this channel. Tones, I have played Flintlock, at least the demo. I liked it. I didn't like it that much, though. You should do a bi-monthly call. What is bi-monthly? Does that mean twice a month or every 2 months? We didn't do any calls today because I don't have it set up. Did we like this better with no calls, or do you guys miss the calls? I find it very hard to get into a game I stopped playing. Anyone else have this problem, says Jojo D. I don't have that problem if it's a game I love. So going back to Elden Ring over and over and over is, it might take a couple of minutes to remember the things, but no. But that's because it's my favorite game of all time. A lot of games I probably would have that problem with. Absolutely. Save the calls for free swim. Okay. Maybe character development, creative discussion, or shows dedicated to discussions around writing. Could be. Okay, cool. All right, fellas. Seriously, though, thank you for hanging out. Free swim Friday calls. That makes sense, WitchX. Absolutely. Although you never call in. You always say you're going to, and you never do. There's a whole video up I talked about the Trump thing. If you just go, I don't know if it's listed though, because I didn't want it to hurt my algorithm because it's not a political channel. But if you want it, go to my Twitter and it's up there. You can find it. And Colin Moriarty called in. We talked for about 30 minutes about it. People got really upset with me. Oh no, who's this? Is that Rob the Mod? Somebody just posted a GIF of Donald Trump hugging a flag. Oh my God, this guy. All right. Patrick says, Biden admin appointee here at an agency, not the White House. Appreciate everything you're saying. Patrick, what do you do? I don't know if you're telling the truth or not. I don't even know what that means. But that said, though, if you do work for Biden, I'm certainly voting for him. I'm not voting for Trump. Yeah, there's nothing much more to say on the thing. I'm glad they didn't kill him. But, I'm glad it missed, but at the same time, I can still hate the guy. But I think he's a disaster, and I hope Biden wins. But I know a lot of you guys don't, and that's fine. Okay. You do external affairs for the Secretary of Commerce. Good God almighty, sir. That's important shit. I do a show about, and I say things like vagina, and I play sound bites, and you're like, oh, I do external affairs for the Secretary of Commerce. You know what? Fuck you, all right? Patrick, you son of a bitch. My internet's way better than it was. Yeah, you got new internet, Joe. That's excellent. Okay. Tomorrow, there's a show. I don't know if it's a members-only show yet. Maybe it's Jaffe Reads. I'm trying to be consistent with the 5 o'clock and getting content out every day. I think I'm doing a good job with that. But I can't guarantee yet what day is going to get what show, because it honestly depends on the news. But we'll figure it out. Be well in the meantime. Thank you for the new subs. Thank you for the new viewers. Thanks for hanging out with me and talking games, man. I hope you've been safe and well, and I'll talk to you real soon. All right, bye, guys.
This is a test for bass boost, and this is a test now for warm and vintage. Okay, this is a test This is a test for bass boost, and this is a test now for warm and vintage.
Be turtle, baby.
Test. Okay, this is a test of bass. This is a test for bass boost, and this is a test now for warm and vintage. Okay, this is a test of bass. This is a test for bass boost, and this is a test now for warm and vintage.
Every once in a while,
Test,
she thinks back on
test,
those
test.
miles that she drove that brought her to her pleasure.
Test.
And even though they
Okay, this is
said
a test
she wrong,
of
she felt this for so long.
bass
And the sex just keeps on getting
boost.
better.
Okay,
And so,
this is a test for bass boost, and this is a test now for warm and vintage.
If you're lucky, you can see what she has in store. And you can make her holler, just give Jaffe $50 and you step into the realm of the gods of war. And you'll say, just like she says, I promise
Test.
it's true. So true, man. So true, man.
Test.
I wanna
Okay,
feel
this is a test
so much more. I'm
of
tired and excited, sick of
bass.
being your whore.